Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you to take the time to be with me this afternoon. As you can see, my name is Guy Chevrette. I'm the CEO, co-founder of IMETRIK Global, Inc. We are located in Montreal, but most of our business is all around the world, mainly in the US and Europe. I have personally more than 30 years of experience as an engineer doing industrial automation projects, doing also a wireless deployment of the wireless sensing network deployment. I did my first M2M application back in 1992, where I was interfacing a Detroit DSL OBD to OBD1 interface, so an ECU, and to report some remote diagnostic output from that ECU. And also I did my first GPS tracking demo to a VP of Ford back in 1994. So my background, we are also here today to talk about whoops, I have two computers, I need to switch on both. So I found IMETRIK in 2005. And we are working on right now on our second generation of a common platform. Until 2007, we shipped, since that date, we shipped over 1.3 million cellular-based M2M devices. We are also still developing some more and more open approach to that to manage different type of application. We are still mainly focused on mobile asset, but our second generation of platform right now is able also to support fixed asset or stationary asset management. And in order for us to gain some time to market, reduce the cost, that was the main motivation to develop that type of approach. Over that 1.3 million devices, most of them, over 1 million, has been shipped with an embedded SIM. So we have worked with Safran, formerly Morpho, since that time to implement that multi-profile embedded SIM, in order that we can lower the cost at the end of the device. So when we are doing the activation of that device at the manufacturing level, so when we have a pick and place machine putting the chip on the board, we also make the activation in the same time. Just to be clarified, the topic and using the right wording, we are focusing on the IoT for business. I'm using M2M, industrial IoT, or I2E for business independently. We are not in the IoT for consumers. Our focus is to deliver a end-to-end solution. The IoT for consumer will be probably generate a lot of, in terms of quantity, a lot of devices or sensors. But in terms of value, 2/3 of the value will be driven by industrial IoT or IoT for business. So when we talk about monetization, we talk about to convert those remote asset poorly managed or not managed very well, and to convert those assets into cash. And in order to do that, but you need to integrate the different aspect of any kind of IoT solution. So starting from the sensor, take the information from that sensor, moving that as a digital information, packetize that information to be transmitted over a network, in order that at the end you can take advantage of that information when it's integrated with your IT system. And that's the way where you can, doing that, they convert that information into gold. So don't take me wrong, you can make money with a different component of a solution. So you can be a sensor, a module guy, an operator, but where we can make a lot of money is by converting that into a value-added solution from the end user. So what's the size of that gold mine, okay? You know all those numbers, but I don't know for you, but for me, I have a very difficulty to size those numbers. So I read recently that if IoT was a country, at 17 trillion, it will be the third largest economy in the world, after US and China. So it's a huge, huge market. And and we have, again, difficulty also to size what means a 20 or 30 billion connected things. So I make a little bit of math. So a 30 billion connection within 5 years, it's more than the 190 connection per second. So I know what we are doing here, because my 20-minute presentation, I will need to connect over 200,000 things. So it's again, it's a major challenge to how to capture that huge market, okay, and convert that to cash. So what we did in that. So let's start with sensors. So on the sensor level, again, when I was deploying an industrial automation solution 25 years ago, the budget for a point of measure was $2,000, and half of that cost was the wire. So we have worked very rapidly on wireless solution, and this is why you have today a lot of embedded chip, where it has a radio on chip solution that can reduce that. So the smart sensor now is becoming more and more, the sensing part, because we are dealing with smart sensor with microcontroller built in. That's the challenge number one, is that now those sensors become more a device that must be managed like a software. So we need to modify the business rules that are embedded into those sensors. We need to firmware upgrade those sensors. So it's become more and more a challenge to really manage different also protocols. So if you are dealing with stationary, and I was implementing Modbus type of protocol, and again, I was referring with my first experience with OBD interface, dealing with those SEE 1708 or 1939 based on the CAN layer. So all those protocols are becoming more and more complex and difficult to manage. And again, you need to change completely your approach, or you are dealing with the sensing part of a solution. So good news, there are some group of people that are defined, and I'm tracking the new protocol which will bring that information at the web level. It's called COPE, for Constrained Application Protocol. And this is a solution to do what we call WOT, a web of things, and be much simpler to manage and be able to reduce, again, the cost at the end to deliver a solution. So the challenge number two we are facing, it's and I would like to refer to a survey which has been released in May 2016 during the M2M forum in Milan, Italy, and a challenge for everybody here. What was the response about that survey regarding what they call here the #1 challenge? For me, it's the #2 challenge in my presentation, but for them was the #1 challenge. Okay, and again, I'm not surprised. Those guys were talking about connectivity and protocols. I'm just talk about protocol, the slide before, and connectivity. And again, I did the AMS deployment, it was a challenge. I did CDPD, it was a challenge. I integrate a metering reading application using a hard disk and Mobitex, it was a challenge. So GPRS was working fine since the release of GPRS in 2000. unfortunately, now we need to move to another radio access standard, and we hope that with that LTE narrowband, which would be more or less the same performance that my old 2G GPRS quad band module, which is a 144 kilobit per second. So now we will deal with a 50 to 300 kilobit per second, and I hope that we can really count on the definition of LTE for long-term evolution. The industrial market cannot switch like the consumer market. We need to be able to support solutions for many, many years, and we need to manage that, that connectivity on a global scale. So we need to have also a device which is can meet the industrial environment. This is why we were an early adopter of the embedded SIM, because a connector in any kind of industrial design, it's a point of failure. So we work a lot also to try to reduce the impact of managing a remote device. So it's not just managing the SIM, or the connectivity part is more than just the embedded SIM, is also to manage the device itself, the firmware in the device, and also be able to move that device from one country to another one without having to touch the device. So that was the main challenge we have a deal with in terms of how we can globally develop and now with that LTE, multiple bands, that's complexified the design, and but we hope that the operator will select more or less the same frequency to develop their LTE solution that is will come very soon. The number 3 challenge for us has been to develop and to deliver the complete solution and be able to do it with the right ROI. So do we have a case when we deliver a solution? So we realize that when we have developed a solution for an insurance company that want to do the UBI type of solution, users-based insurance pricing, and they were approaching us, and we have delivered over 75,000 devices within 7 months. But we realized that in order to do it, yes, you need to design the device, manufacture the device, but also you need a good partner to manage the supply chain, the warehousing, the shipping, take an order, return. Sometimes you need to manage some defect devices. You need to have also the provisioning well-tuned, the shipment, and at the end you need to develop the scoring algorithm to customize the application, develop also the mobile apps, develop up to the social network management. So all in all together, we realize at the end that the guy who delivered the solution must take the larger part of the entire value stack. So I read an interesting market study driven by First Analysis. It's a 2015 study, and the First Analysis was forecasting that the cellular connection in 2025 would be around 1 billion that year, and this is what they were proposing as the way that to distribute the value stack. So if you take, for example, the hardware plus the embedded software plus the tiny 2% for the service, okay, this is the part of what I call the embedded part, the part that needs to be done at the edge level, at the level of the asset you want to monitor. Data in their study was the cost to carry the data, but also the cost to store the data, and to and back up that information. And this is why they was proposing that again the majority of that value must be driven by the one who served the customer, okay, at the end of the day. So I took that and I built around what we were delivering to our customers. So let's use the example of a solution that we delivered to to an insurance company, which was we also have the same type of solution for a HVAC monitoring solution for people who are taking care of the maintenance of those stationary assets. So at $8 per month, if I apply the split between the different stack and the split between the different value of part of that stack, the embedded at 17%, it's a budget of $1.36 per month over 36 months. The data is $2.25 and the solution is $4.40. So we reached the conclusion that it was way too much for the data layer in our real cases, and we need to move some budget from the data to the two other layers, so the embedded layer and the solution layer. And just to tell you about what we are running today and we propose to our customer is that the embedded layer is roughly 20% of the value stack at $1.60. And if you take that budget of $1.60 means that you embedded the bill of material to produce the hardware plus the installation and your margin on the top of it. At 8% of interest, we talk about a hardware that cannot cost more than $51. Only for a car installation, we pay $50 for the installer to install a device in the car. So if you are using a Linux box, which is a gateway based around a Linux platform, it's a off-the-shelf device from any distributor. It's $500. So for a lot of cases, okay, IoT is too expensive. The TCO is too high for a lot of my customers that need to justify their investment. So it's not like a consumer approach where you buy the new iPhone 7 and you don't need to justify why are you buying. Maybe to your wife, okay, but you don't need to justify that. If you are deploying an M2M solution, you need to justify it. So, and the data, again, we are, for us, when we implement a solution, we have a lot of application where it's less than a meg per month. Okay, so here I'm showing you what's the impact to manage between 3 and 5 meg per month. Means that the budget for the data would be lower than 80 cents per month. So I know today, for example, if you go to a Canadian or American operator, you can have for $30 per month, you can have a 2 gig plan, data plan. So if you do the math, it's a 1.5 cents per megabyte. So why the M2M market, the industrial IoT market, cannot get access to that type of, and it's a retail cost. So put a little bit of margin on the top of it, we must be able to reach the $1 cent, per megabyte in order to deploy M2M solution all around the place. So it's not the case today. So at the end of the day, we will also need to reduce the budget on the device side or the embedded portion. And again, because the guy who facing the customer must manage the customer, and this is why, for example, when you develop an application on an iPhone, Apple take 25% and the developer takes 75%. So the IoT, in order to scale at the end to become the third largest economy of the world, we will need to do something like that. The fourth, the last but not the least, okay, is definitely a security and privacy. And we have the tendency to forget that and put that at the end. I made that mistake many times. Okay, let's talk about that at the end. Okay, but now we have been developing a kind of a keyword internally. We call that Addict. And it's a little bit like a drug dealer or a junkie, okay? You want to have that all the time, that you must ask for that all the time. So I twist a little bit the Addict word, spelling word, but Addict means for us authentication, authorization, and DI for data integrity, and confidentiality, in order that at the end the customer can trust the solution. So it's really, for us, a challenge to have a solution that the market can trust. And we are working with existing technology. As you can see, most of the stuff I was describing already exists. Okay? And a good example of that is to use the embedded SIM. The SIM is an application that can run into a UICC, a secure element, has been used by the market not only in the mobile industry but also for the banking, for in the implementation of a trusted service key manager. So why not to use that what we have in our end to improve that authorization, authentication, data integrity, confidentiality. When we have implemented the solution in North America and also in Europe for insurance company, we are facing the problem of the control of the information and the access to the information and how we protect that information. It's managed by country. It's a challenge to address all those and for all that requirement from the different country. For example, in Europe right now, we are using the Quebec law as the reference because they are much tougher in order to follow, and we propose that type of a SLA to our customer to manage that security and the privacy of information. To summarize, IoT is not new, and IoT is redefining business model. Why IoT is redefining business model? I will use a short story about an American buyer which were dealing with a Japanese seller. And the American buyer would say, what's the cost of your nice electronic device if I buy 1,000 of it? It's $100. Okay, what's the cost? I'm very serious. What's the cost if I'm buying 10,000 of it? Oh, it would be $95. Okay, no joke, look. I'm really serious. I want to capture that market. What's the cost if I'm willing to buy 100,000? Oh, $92. Okay, but I want to conquer the world. What would be the cost if I'm willing to buy 1,000,000 devices? Japanese said, let me think about it. I will need to be back to you tomorrow. The guy he was back the next day. He said, it will be $97. I said, what? You told me, okay, 93, and now we are back to 97? Yeah, because I will need to build a new factory. Okay, so this is why that huge market will drive new business model. And in order to, and again, the industry must align the solution that fit the customer ROI. Okay, and the fact also that those model, okay, is finished the time for the one size fit all. So you will need to transform your organization and to adapt new business model. And the IoT, it will become more and more organized. We were mentioning earlier the unorganized way, but it will become more and more organized in order to scale. And again, don't think to do it alone. We learned that we were in partnership with a lot of small and large organizations. And the thing also we learned that we need to partner, yes, to share the risk, to lower the cost, and accelerate the go-to-market, but also we need to develop partnership. Again, for the most important is to develop new business model. Thank you for your time.